I feel like people don't realize the journey that so many people in our community, in our county, nearby, in and out of Superior, how many people go through cancer and have to go to Omaha or Hastings or Grand Island, I've heard, for chemo. There's so much of a comfort zone to have that here. When you're going through it, as people that have gone on the journey know that if you're at home, you feel better about it.
It wasn't just Arlen and I. It was the whole store that had to suffer through it.
How do you explain it to your kids? And how do you keep their life normal while yours isn't normal?
At least your family would be around you. We were usually in Omaha by ourselves. There's nobody. I mean, they all worked. They're busy. They can't take time off to be with you. So it was always just him and I. And that's hard.
He would have cared less about it for himself. But he would have wanted it for Levi. And for Dane. Levi just for treatment, Dane because we would have been together. You know. Dane started kindergarten by himself because we were in Omaha with Levi.
She was a very active person, and that was very hard for her to go from being so busy to having to go fight for her life to do her treatments.
An hour away doesn't seem like much for these patients who are exhausted mentally and physically. Just that travel, just thinking about it and being away from home and away from your support system.
Well, Belleville's 43 miles from Superior. She'd come here and get her lab done, and then we'd go to Hastings, and that was another 55 miles. And then they'd have to travel that far back home.
Yeah, it'll just be good that we can get something in Superior.
Yeah.
So people around here doesn't have to drive
so far.
She traveled to Lincoln for her oncology appointments once every 3 weeks, which doesn't seem like a lot, but after 2 hours in the car one way, taking a treatment for 4 hours and then driving home, that can be really tiring.
They're tired, so tired when they get done. And a 5-minute ride home is a lot better than an hour to 3 hours home.
The stress and the travel and the time away could have been a lot different. Could have been a lot better.
Mom had to make over 80 trips in, I think, her 22 months of chemo treatments that she had.
Being far away from home and knowing that people cared for you, and it was hard for them to visit.
And you know, why do we have to travel clear up to Omaha?
People in rural Nebraska deserve the same kind of care that you get whether you drive 3 hours to Omaha or not.
It's just, if it was here at home, you have the comfort of the nurses, the staff. You get attached to them, and no matter where you have your chemo. But just having it here at home is such a comfort that I think everybody would really appreciate.
They care. You felt the love. And I know if we had the chemo center here, you'd still get that love.
I feel like she would have felt more at home. Everybody would have felt more at home if she would have been able to take her treatments here in Superior.
Being home, being around people he knew, that was always a big source of comfort to him.
Family time at home.
But you gotta stay strong in this. You can't back down or it won't work.
You gotta stay positive.
Yeah.
And there were many, many people that wrote back and sent their good wishes and their prayers, and it was just that connection to home, I think, really.
But she had her Brodstone family too. Kendra, the infusion nurse, was fantastic to Mom. I mean, she calls her Grandma Amy. Mom loved Kendra. The ones in the lab that drew her blood, same thing, they all called her Grandma Amy. The nurses at the clinic, it was Grandma Amy. She just said she's never met such a hospital that seems like we're all family up here.
Being at home and being around people who, even the little things, showing up at your door with a lasagna or coming over and being like, hey, we want to take the kids to the park, and just those type of people being around people who actually truly support you.
I truly believe that having a treatment center so close to home would help so many people.
It's very important to have local family doctors. You have to have them for your community to survive. And whether it be cancer or any other issue, we have to have it. I always bragged about our hospital here in Omaha and talked to the nurses up there when they were saying, well, do you think that your local hospital could handle this? And I said, absolutely, they can.
Her and Dad would usually have to go up the night before and stay up there and then go through chemo all day. And then trying to come home that night, she would be so sick from the chemo, she'd have to lay down in the back of the vehicle and travel another 3 hours after having all of her treatments. It would have been so much easier and so much nicer to just be local.
I could have walked in there by myself and done it all by myself without having, Arlen take me. I could have done it right here at home. Gone back to work that afternoon.
There's such a need for it, and people don't really realize that until you go through the journey of it.
You're not fighting it alone, because sometimes it can feel like you're, the only one this affects, but if they were able to receive their treatments here, there would be a whole lot more support and just have more of a family aspect when you're fighting such a terrible thing like cancer.
This infusion center would mean a lot. It would mean no weekly trips to Hastings or Grand Island or Omaha, spending an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours one way for somebody that's already in a compromised health situation. Those extra 2 to 6 hours could be spent hanging out with their family, resting at home where they're more comfortable as opposed to in a car. It would mean a place for local friends, family. Cancer's not going away anytime soon. And so something like this would mean a lot to our community. It would help out tremendously, I think, especially when you're getting towards the end and you don't have the strength for those car rides.
There would have been a lot of help when Levi was sick. I feel like it's a big step in the right direction as well.
I just think what Brodstone's doing is huge, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for Nuckolls County and everybody around here that could benefit it and utilize it.
To me, it would help all the rest of the people. It's a long journey, and everybody needs to be able to, if they have to go through it, to be able to do it in the comfort of their area.